What's this simple machine right here? Wheel and axle, right.
Just outside Boston, in the diverse community of Malden, fifth graders are studying some of America's oldest technology, using some of its newest.
All right, watch that gate.
They're on a field trip to the birthplace of the country's manufacturing industry, the Saugus Iron Works.
This works like a lever, compresses the bellows closed, blows the air into the furnace.
Public education in America also began in Massachusetts. In the mid-1800s, a Prussian system was adopted that featured reading, writing, and arithmetic, taught in separate periods governed by the clock.
We don't live in an industrial economy anymore. We live in a knowledge economy, and so we have to think about education in a fundamentally different way. We can't be focusing on basic facts and basic skills. We have to think about ways of thinking that are going to matter more than what we do in traditional schools right now.
You want to be a photojournalist? Oh, all right.
Today, many educators are calling for an integrated approach to teaching.
The circumference of the circle.
At Ferryway School, the Ironworks project, which is a collaborative effort of a dozen teachers, integrates math,
maybe 2 millimeters,
art, English, history, and science.
Look where the water's falling.
And features a handmade water wheel competition.
The project's not just about the water wheel, it's not just about the Saugus Ironworks. It's about all of the subject areas being brought together, the rocks and minerals, the simple machines, the technology concepts, and they learn leadership, they learn how to get along, how to cooperate. There's a lot of life lessons to be learned.
It looks like shiny metal. If you're in different classes, you sometimes forget because your mind's on one class and then you have to be focused on another class. But when it's all together, you could just focus on one thing because it's all the same.
These divisions between disciplines are provisional at best, and also in schools they become artificially enforced.
Sir Ken Robinson is an internationally acclaimed author and lecturer and an expert in creativity.
There's a kind of assumption that there are a certain number of subjects in the world, and some of those are more important than the other ones. So typically you end up with this hierarchy of math and languages and science at the top, and they are very important. But they're not more important, in my view, than the arts and the humanities. So that's the first thing, you get a hierarchy. The second thing is, these things tend to be hermetically sealed off from each other. So you do science on a Thursday morning, you do math in the afternoons. And this is really a feature of education, because outside of education, people know naturally that all these things flow in and out of each other. The disciplines affect each other.
So you want to put your GPSs up this way.
Across the country, imaginative teachers make learning richer and deeper by connecting subjects through projects.
We want you to write down that latitude and longitude on your paper.
In the eastern Washington town of Waterville, local farmers team up with fourth graders to track tiny, horny toad lizards as part of a national program called Nature Mapping.
And we don't know what the horny toads do. We don't understand what they do during the winter.
Teachers and experts designed an interdisciplinary curriculum for the year-long project.
And when I saw what the kids were supposed to do at different age levels, I said, oh, we have math, we have science, we have technology, we have arts. We have all these components.
How to catch a horny toad. The first thing you have to have is a good eye.
At Landry Middle School, just outside New Orleans, the 8th grade teaching team built an interdisciplinary unit around one of their students' favorite subjects, cars.
Oh, it's cars! Look at this!
In science class, students made balloon-propelled cars out of recycled materials and road-tested their various designs.
Try to write some different selling points.
In English, students wrote car commercials, and in math, they calculated loan payments.
That's 6% of whatever you get for item number 7.
So multiply 6%.
Times that.
Okay.
I've had kids come back to me and tell me, do you remember that project we did? They have never, ever come back and said, remember that test we did? So I think that's the impact. If the kids remember it, test scores will go up, and our test scores have.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the culminating event of Fading Footprints.
In some schools, like King Middle School in Portland, Maine, interdisciplinary learning drives the entire curriculum. Drawing on knowledge gained in several different classes, 7th graders here produced a CD-ROM that features Maine's endangered species.
The model that we use is expeditionary learning, outward bound, so it focuses on hands-on learning. We try to integrate science, social studies, math, and English with technology, with artwork with community members, field work, etc.
In the process of making the CD, students learn to collaborate and contribute their various talents. In music class, they recorded soundtracks for the CD. In art, they painted scientifically accurate watercolors of their animals.
But he talks about field work
And in video production class, they made the movie about the making of the CD.
On our winter walk, we learned about how animals and plants survive in Maine's harsh climate.
Since implementing the interdisciplinary curriculum, King Principal Mike McCarthy has seen the test scores of King's diverse student body go from the bottom 1/3 to the top 1/3 in the state.
I've heard people describe what a gifted and talented classroom would look like. It should include field experiences, it should include technology, it should include independent work, it should include work that's in depth. Well, that's basically what our school is. One kid said, nobody feels stupid around here anymore. And I think that was one of our highest achievements.
Open up Fine Wild Ginger. It's on page 59.
At the School of Environmental Studies just outside Minneapolis, nature provides the context for the school's interdisciplinary approach to learning in service to the community.
We work with the local communities. We have 20 ponds and lakes that we are monitoring every year since we've been open. And so the kids go out and do a chemical analysis of the water. They also will write a technical paper, and then they present their findings to the water commissioners from the local cities. And those people actually will be assessing the student work.
Could use one more.
Yeah. When you go to a normal high school, you get biology and earth science and English, and then here you get just world. You just get everything, and it's all together, and you realize that it's all systemic and it all connects. And you leave here, with real value.
So that would be one of the predators of the pond.
I can't learn from a textbook. I can't concentrate. I don't have the ability to concentrate like that. And here, with the hands-on activities that we do and the integration of everything into our daily lives, it helps me absorb the information a lot better.
Recreational use.
Instead of tests in various subjects, the school judges presentations to peers and content experts as a better way to assess the understanding of complex subjects.
And through biological magnification, the tiger heron is then poisoned because it eats the fish.
I think that where we are is a lot like when the Wright brothers flew the first airplane. Imagine for a minute when the Wright brothers flew the first airplane, everybody running up to them, congratulating, saying, "That's wonderful." And someone walks up and says, "Well, that's really impressive, but how is it going to improve the railroad?" The standards for performance that we're using are railroad performances.
Today you are going to take the SAT 1.
So we're kind of locked in by those standards to fixing the railroad when we need to get busy on inventing flight.
In industries like filmmaking and gaming, where collaboration and creativity are prized, employers are looking for people who can fly.
Education has been a lot about accruing facts. And today, getting facts is a lot easier than it's ever been, but doing something interesting with those facts. It's not so much in the points themselves, but in the relationship between them.
You don't have to scrap the design because the design is beautiful.
One of the things that comes out of that interdisciplinary kind of learning is it forces people to examine patterns. And the real knowledge is when you recognize the complexity of a pattern and then can resolve it into a simplicity that allows it to be applied to something else. That's so much of the business of art and technology and breakthrough.
Further breakthroughs in education will come from understanding that people learn best by integrating bits of information and combining them to create something that is greater than the sum of its parts.
There's actually 230 endangered species.
For a really innovative, creative education, you simply have to have a broad curriculum, one that includes the arts as well as the sciences, as well as the humanities and languages and technology.
We're going to take the math idea of below zero and turn it into music.
But there's no doubt in my mind that a really creative school encourages all kinds of interaction between subjects, so there's no doubt about that.
Oh, I see some really wonderful positive negatives, just like those math numbers. Great.
For more information on what works in public education, go to edutopia.org.
Boys and girls, what is inside of this bag? Air. You are going to see convection at its best.
Now that we are a STEAM school, using project-based learning as our primary instructional strategy, we see our students exceeding at the highest levels. They're interested in what's happening in the world. They're interested in their own learning and how they're going to apply that.
So here at Charles Drew Charter School, we are a STEAM school with an emphasis on science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. Our kids not only get the regular curriculum, but they also have classes like science lab with me, robotics, engineering, art, chorus, band.
This is called a
flute. I'm taking dance and orchestra right now. I like technology too.
I like science, and I like to learn about how things work.
Well, for us, project-based learning and STEAM can't really be separated.
Instead of teaching these skills and these disciplines in isolation, we collaborate and work together. Our students are making connections between these disciplines.
We know that the careers that are going to be available are in STEAM fields. We use project-based learning to help our students to be successful in those careers.
Project-based learning is not just creating a project. It is not teaching theme units. It's solving a problem. The project is a product that students create in order to solve a problem. It's a project that needs to have an audience and needs to have a lasting impact.
So across the entire building, teams collaborate to plan project-based learning instruction. So ideally, what we're going to do is look at these essential elements. We'd focus on one project-based learning unit that integrates all of the subject areas each quarter. The teachers work together to look at their standards, look at what's relevant for our students, what's happening in the world, and design a driving question.
I like it a lot because there's like one question, one big picture. I like big pictures, but I also like that you can like ask little questions within the big question.
A big standard in third grade is teaching about heat. We wanted to see if students could figure out a problem within their community that they could solve using heat. We immediately thought of a snowpocalypse. Heat played an important role, whether it was related to the weather or how Atlantans coped.
There was just coldness and snow and ice, and so heat plays a really good part to keep us warm.
We eventually arrived at the question of how can we better prepare for Atlanta's changing weather.
We went in this direction because we knew that it affected a lot of their families, it affected our school.
My students researched the event. I brought in some community members to just share their stories.
We had so many people stranded. We had students who were on the bus 10, 11 o'clock at night. And we was trying to contact parents just to let them know where their child was.
They couldn't believe some of the stuff they heard, and that to me was this very organic way that they arrived at this problem and this feeling of, I want to do something about it.
We are going to be thinking of some ways to help Atlantans better prepare for weather like this.
The teachers may have designed a project that's going to guide the students in a direction, but the students have a big role helping to design products that will solve those problems.
My class came up with some type of safety case that would help them if they were stranded. So they'll do certain little mini projects along the way, like a solar oven. We're going to talk about insulation. They'll test different materials to see what are good conductors of heat and to see how could these everyday materials fit into your kit.
Wooden spoon, plastic spoon, metal spoon.
Does it feel cold? Does it feel hot?
Feel it.
Record your observations. What about the metal spoon, Destiny?
The metal spoon got hotter.
So that was the hottest?
Yes.
All right, so right
One
now.
of the questions that they said that they needed to know was, well, how is heat produced? Mr. Thomas came up with the idea to bring the entire third grade out.
Heat energy can be transferred in how many ways? 3, conduction, radiation, and convection. The heat from the sun will transfer energy to the air inside this bag. Once the molecules in the air inside the bag get warmed up, the solar bag is going to rise into the air.
Our commitment to STEAM has shaped how we do project-based learning here at Drew. Technology, science, engineering, that all factors into what we're looking for the students to be able to do when they're answering this driving question.
We see our students collaborating naturally to solve problems, not just the ones presented to them by teachers, but the ones that they just face every day.